Hello everyone, welcome to the video. Today we're going to be getting the Platinum Trophy for... Made in 2021, Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart is the latest game in the Ratchet & Clank franchise. With a difficulty of 2 out of 10, 1 playthrough, and only 10 hours needed to complete, this is about as easy as Platinum Trophy hunting can get. PSN Profile splits this into 3 simple stages. Stage 1, play the story and have fun. Yay! Stage 2, collectible cleanup and finishing touches. And Stage 3, buying the last 1 to 2 weapons in challenge mode. Start the game off with a cinematic of our new protagonist Rivet, a Lombax from another dimension, and she's on the run because being an organic life form is illegal in this universe. She ends up helping a civilian escape and is noticed in the process. We then get this cool transition over to our beloved heroes, Ratchet and Clank, who are having a parade thrown for them, basically to celebrate them being heroes and saving the galaxy a bunch of times. This section also serves as a little bit of storytelling, showing us the first time Ratchet and Clank met all those years ago, and also gives us a little bit of a tutorial, taking us through the various mechanics of the game like shooting, using grind rails, using magna boots, the swing shot, and combat, when some thugs for less goons show up trying to crash the party. After we deal with these goons, turns out Clank has organized a gift for Ratchet, which is the Dimensionator. If you don't know, it's basically a gun that opens up rifts between dimensions so you can travel between them, which Ratchet can use to finally find the rest of the Lombaxes. But before we even get the chance, the villain of the game, Dr. Nefarious, shock shock, shows up and steals the Dimensionator. Probably would have been smart to have that powerful and universe-bending gun be a bit more secure. But anyway, naturally, this all goes wrong for Dr. Nefarious, and chaos ensues. With rifts opening up everywhere, we end up in a boss battle, and after defeating Nefarious, the Dimensionator malfunctions, and we all end up being sent to another dimension. The Dimensionator then explodes, separating our duo into 2 different parts of the city. Clank is picked up by Rivet, because when you see a robot on the ground, you can just take them in this dimension apparently. Pretty sure that's considered robo-napping, but anyway. Ratchet wakes up in a back alley alone and very confused about his surroundings, and this is where we get our first story trophy. We get a cutscene showing Rivet escaping off planet with Clank, so now our new goal is to find a ship to follow them. Now that we're free to explore, I get another trophy here for finding our first gold vault. I also get another trophy for finding our first info bot. We'll need to find 10 of these across different planets to unlock the Rhino later in the game. I also found the first of these Krieger Bear things. These are a tribute to Craig Goodman, an Insomniac artist who tragically died of brain cancer in 2019, whose wife makes Craig Bears for kids who lost a parent. We get a trophy for collecting our first one, and we'll need to collect all of them for another trophy. We find our first pocket dimension for another trophy. While in this pocket dimension, you'll also get another trophy for bouncing on the cork balloon 3 times. I then get another trophy for finding our first armor piece, and then yet another trophy for putting on a full set of armor. Anyway, back to the main story. We need to find someone called the Phantom, who is apparently at this robot dance club called Club Nefarious. After searching this club, we'll get a cutscene where it turns out the so-called Phantom is actually Skid McMarks of this universe. Well, in this universe, he's part of the Resistance. We help him escape Nefarious' goons. In return, he gives us a new ability, the Phantom Dash, which basically acts as a dodge mechanic and also allows us to bypass certain force fields and helps us jump a little further too. Skid agrees to help us get off planet, but in return, we need to help him hack into a blimp, which involves fighting a bunch of enemies while Skid does the actual hacking. Upon successful hacking, the blimp is immediately blown up by the Sky Centipede thing, and Skid, lost in his utter failure, yeets himself off the building to his untimely death. Just kidding, he planned to get himself captured to, quote, tear this whole rotten world down from the inside. Anyway, it's time for us to get off planet and go after Clank. We get a really fast grind rail back down to the main part of the city. I honestly wish there were more grind rail sections in this game. They're one of my favorite parts of Ratchet & Clank games, and this one just doesn't have quite enough, in my opinion. Now it's time to get into the ship bay, steal a ship, and get out of here. But first we've got a boss battle with this Juggernaut robot, whilst getting dragged through rifts at the same time. Nevertheless, he is defeated, and we can move on to the next planet. We then arrive on Sargasso as Rivet, with Clank in tow, and after spending some raritanium on upgrades, we unlock a trophy for fully upgrading a weapon, and then another trophy for reaching max level on a weapon. Back to the story, and it turns out the Thugs for Less goons are threatening Rivet's friends, who are all named Mort, because why not? So naturally we're going to put a stop to that and take care of these guys. Once that's done, we're tasked with getting rid of this rift anomaly thing, which we can enter as Clank, giving us our first Clank puzzle, where we need to help the never-ending supply of Clank clones. They're meant to be all the possible outcomes of his decision or something like that, but saying clones is just easier and it's easier to explain. Anyway, in the puzzle, there's these orbs that can help the clones get around the obstacles in the way. Once we get them to the end of the puzzle, the rift anomaly will disappear. Now the trapped Morts are safe, and we get rewarded with a new ship and another trophy. We then end up in a boss fight with the Seekipede, which involves fighting it in normal combat and then chasing it in one of these beetle things to jump onto its back to make it crash. And once it does, Rivet straight up smashes the driver's face in with absolutely zero remorse. Just straight up murders the guy. Anyway, Clank is saved, and we get a trophy. After that, it's on to the next planet, which is home to the arena of this game, Zerky's Battleplex. I love the arena levels of Ratchet & Clank games. It's definitely one of my favorite parts, and I only wished arena of this game had more to it. There's only like 3 different groupings of challenges, and the final one you don't even unlock until the very last level of the game. Anyway, after fighting through waves of enemies and taking care of this pirate boss, we get rewarded with the part we need to fix Clank's communicator so we can get in contact with Ratchet. We get a trophy for completing the challenge, and then I also get a trophy for playing 3 different songs on the jukebox. The communicator part, Clank managed to contact Ratchet, and they come to the conclusion that they need to make another Dimensionator to defeat Nefarious and restore order to the galaxy. So Ratchet sets off to planet Savali, where the archives that hold the blueprints for the Dimensionator are. A bunch of trophies on this planet, so bear with me here. We get one here for doing a trick whilst going max speed with the hover boots, one here for collecting our 5th gold bolt, one here for collecting 3 of these Lombax orbs called Lorbs, one here for purchasing enough weapons to fill a weapon wheel, and once we reach the archives we get another trophy for that too. Now, before we can actually enter the archives, we had a bunch of nefarious robots to deal with, including these 2 invasion commander robots, which whilst fighting them I got a trophy for defeating 30 enemies whilst using the, I don't know how to say this, Topiri sprinkler, don't judge me. Once those guys are down, we're free to enter and find the blueprints for the Dimensionator. On to our next planet with Rivet, who's trying to find a crystal needed to power the Dimensionator. We get sidetracked helping the chef lady with her cooking by keeping waves of bugs away while she collects honey, during which I get a combat trophy and a trophy for helping out the chef. Back to the main story, and we make it to this massive drill, which we need to use to collect the crystal we need, and of course we get attacked by nefarious goons in the process. Once we defeat them all, one of the ships crashes into the drill, knocking loose the crystal and then immediately destroys it. And now our next mission is to find someone who can repair the crystal. We also got another story trophy here. Back now to Ratchet, who is now searching for a forge in order to create the new Dimensionator. On this planet, we can jump between dimensions using these crystals. In one dimension, the planet is all dark and spooky and has this like horror vibe where we're being chased by this really strong monster that we can't hurt. And the other side is like all new and full of nefarious goons. Both dimensions have these super powerful monsters, and the operational side with all the goons have been using said monster to actually power the forge. So we end up saving the monster and bringing the 2 of them together in order, 2 of them together, and in return the 2 monsters power up the forge for us, allowing us to create the new Dimensionator gun. We also get a story trophy here and another trophy for hitting all the dimension changing crystals on the planet. Now all we need is that crystal fixed, and we have a fully operational Dimensionator. Back to Rivet, who is searching for this giant robot guy called the Fixer, who can apparently fix anything. How convenient. Although after fighting through waves of pirates between us and the Fixer, we found that the Fixer isn't so quick to just lend a helping hand, and instead tries to murder us. Of course. After a really fun grinding rail section, we end up being slowly squished by the Fixer, but in the nick of time, Clank pulls out his therapy skills, and it turns out the Fixer just had a case of imposter syndrome and felt like he couldn't fix anything. Clank helps him come to his senses, and the Fixer destroys the remaining pirates for us and also fixes our busted crystal. Now that we have a functional crystal and Dimensionator, it's finally time for our heroes to meet up. It's a little awkward at first, but Clank returns to Ratchet and Kit decides to tag along with Rivet. The good times don't last long, of course, because none other than Dr. Nefarious himself shows up, takes the Dimensionator and the Crystal, and captures our heroes. But a couple of goons isn't going to keep us contained. We break free and enter a boss fight with Dr. Nefarious. We end up being transported to different dimensions and battle arenas. We even get a grinding rail section and a section where we have to fight as Gunther. Dr. Nefarious isn't much of a problem for us though, and is eventually defeated. Unfortunately for us, Emperor Nefarious shows up, and he is on another level. We don't even get a chance to fight him. He just takes our Dimensionator and leaves, heading to Rivet's home planet Sargasso, in order to teach her a lesson. But before we head off, I've decided to complete some more arena challenges and unlock a trophy here for meleeing 5 frozen enemies. Now as Ratchet, we head off to the pirate planet. And on this planet, I found this funny little scene here which depicts the jail scene from Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl. So I thought that was pretty cool. Anyway, we're here looking for Captain Quantum, this universe's version of Captain Quark, whose helmet can listen into Emperor Nefarious' assistant. So we're going to take it so we can spy on Emperor Nefarious. We end up blowing Captain Quantum's cover as he's pretending to be a pirate, so we help him escape the pirates, and he gives us the helmet anyway. Which leads us to our next story trophy. Back to Rivet, and Sargasso is under attack by Nefarious' goons, but with the help of Trudy the dragon thing, we destroy the mothership, putting an end to the invasion. The Emperor then sends us into a pocket dimension, but that's no problem for us. Anyway, we make it out of the pocket dimension and get the trophy, Return to Sender, for taking down the mothership. Ratchet and Clank use the captain's helmet and find out that Nefarious is planning on conquering Ratchet's dimension as well. And to do that, he's going back to the archives to get a dimensional map. So off we go to try and stop him. Now that we're back on Savali, we get a trophy here for getting 20 headshots with the Headhunter gun. We also find the final glitch section here. I haven't really spoken much about the glitch sections yet. They're these little side minigame things where you play as this little spider drone robot destroying a virus to unlock like computers and stuff. So we got a trophy there for completing all of them. We also end up in a cabin under the archives and confront both Nefariouses. Anyway, Ratchet and Clank end up captured again. Kit turns into a giant warbot, and Rivet realizes she's the same warbot that caused her to lose her arm. So not a good time for all involved. Once we leave Savali, we get another story trophy. It's time to save Ratchet and Clank from prison along with all our other friends. We also find another one of these Krager bears here as well. We get another trophy here for defeating 30 of the ejected Nefarious Trooper heads. We rescue Ratchet and get another story trophy. Now that everyone is back together, it's time for the final battle against Nefarious. This is now the point of no return in the game. Once we start the next segment, there is no turning back. So with saying that, it's time to do a little bit of a trophy cleanup. Our first trophy is Can't Stop Me for completing a gold Battleplex challenge. Next is Feeding Frenzy for collecting 10 Zerp stones for Trudy. Next is Lombax and Chill for turning the TV on in Rivet's hideout. And during my travels on Sargasso, I found this random projection of Dr. Nefarious. I don't know if this is a glitch or what, because he doesn't say anything, he's just sort of standing there. Anyway, we then finish up collecting all 60 of the Zerp stones for Trudy, which unlocks us the final info bot needed to get the Rhino. I was excited for getting the Rhino, so I went straight to the gun vendor to unlock it, which gets us the trophy Aim to Misbehave. Now, the Rhino in this game is a massive letdown, to be honest. The animation of it opening up a rift and dropping different things onto enemies is very cool, but the damage it does absolutely sucks. It does like 10% damage to a Gunther, which is just sad. This is meant to be the Rhino. It's meant to be this all-powerful weapon, but it's just kind of sucky in this game, so that was a little bit disappointing. Anyway, let's get the rest of these trophies out of the way. Our next trophy here is for defeating 5 Gunthers. One here for watching these robots relax by the hot springs on Savali. I then found the remaining bears, one frozen here in the ice, one here at Xerxes, one here on Savali, and finally one here on the pirate planet for another trophy. Our next trophy comes from using the Void Reactor to defeat 10 enemies. And with all that said and done, it's time to finish off the game's story. So we gather all our friends and head back to Ratchet's dimension to enter the final boss fight against Emperor Nefarious and Dr. Nefarious. We fight through Nefarious's goons, use Trudy's help to get us close to Nefarious, who has entered his giant robot suit, which we have to fight. The fight has a couple of different stages where we fight the suit's hands and face, then inside, and we destroy the robot's core. We then have a final fight with the Emperor himself, and with the help of Kit in her Warbot form, eventually Nefarious is defeated and dragged into a rift by a giant octopus. With both universes now saved, we get the trophy Too Fuzz, Too Furious, and that is the story complete for Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. With all that said and done, we only have a few more trophies to clean up, and we'll have the Platinum Trophy. So it's off to challenge mode, where we get a trophy here for doing 5 tricks whilst grinding on a rail. Next, we get the trophy fully stacked for purchasing all weapons available in the game. And with that, we also unlock the Platinum Trophy, Masters of the Universe. So there you have it, guys. That is the Platinum Trophy experience for Ratchet & Clank Rift Apart. If you haven't played this game before, I would definitely recommend it. Even though I pointed out some things in this game that were kind of lackluster, it is still a very good and a very enjoyable game. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next one.